Hey, hey, hey. This your girl. This is your sister. This is your friend. This is your auntie, Erika Brown. I'm here with Soulful Revelations tonight. We are a few minutes late tonight because of technology. And we got a good topic tonight. We have some videos we want to show you, but the videos won't play. So we just kind of gotta go off of the dome. And we'll talk about one of the first videos was a TikTok video where a young lady was I don't know if y'all saw that new show called the balloon pop thing. I know everybody didn't see that. Y'all ladies didn't saw balloon pop. Okay.
Mhm.
I think it's the most hilarious, craziest crap I ever seen because I would never do anything like that. I think it's funny. I think it's more so for entertainment than anything, but I think people take it really, really serious. However, one of the young ladies that was on the show, she was speaking to a gentleman and she popped her balloon because she asked him what was his relationship with God. And basically he was telling her that, basically he's religious but not really Christian, right? And that's a lot of things that we're living in that day and time that people are now saying they're spiritual. That's what he said. He said he was spiritual but not really religious. I'm sorry, I said it wrong. So he was spiritual and not really religious. And we're kind of living in that day and time right now that people are more spiritual, whatever that means. I don't know what spirits they talking about, but they're more spiritual than religious. And the young lady popped the balloon because she said she really needed someone who had a stronger relationship with God because her relationship with God was very important to her. How do you all feel about the whole religious spiritual aspect that, especially you, Desiree, you're younger, and I'm sure you probably hear it more than we do in our age bracket. What do you think about that whole religious spiritual aspect of the way the world is going now?
Mm. Well, me, I personally, I feel like it's like, which side are you gonna choose? Honestly, to me, I feel like
Is
either
that
you're
your
gonna
phone
be
ringing?
my phone.
Yeah, somebody's phone is ringing. Okay, go ahead.
To me, I feel like you gotta choose one. Like you either gonna be in it or you're not gonna be in it. Like you can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. To me, I feel like if you're gonna follow Christ, you're gonna follow His word. Then He's giving you the book. He's giving you the path. Just do it. If you are spiritual, okay. But I kind of agree with her, in that standpoint to what she was explaining. Like, if I'm trying to move in a space where I want to be a wife and it is for a wife to be submissive, then I need my husband to be fully sure of himself as a man of God to lead me that way. If you're still having doubts, if you're still having questions, that kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable. Because me personally, I wouldn't want to lead the way or be in that role, and I'm not too sure of something. So I do agree with her as far as like being sure of what you want and knowing that you're moving towards that. And until you get there, then I'm just not the person for you. So.
Good answer. All right, Miss Sharice.
My phone was ringing and I didn't even hear. You're talking about the balloon pop, right?
Yes.
Um, I'm really not. I'm really not sure. Like, I do believe there's a difference between spirituality and being religious, because religious people are rhetorical people. They go to church, and people that can be so caught up in religion can bust hell wide open. But when you have a relationship with God, that is what matters. And you
Right.
cannot lead anybody if you, like Desiree said, if you're not sure of yourself, how you gonna lead somebody? It's the concept of life, personal, business, any type of relationship, in friendships, marriages. So the concept is the same to me. Like, I feel like you can't be, if you're unsure of yourself and where you are in any walk of life, you cannot lead anybody.
Do you think that our men are seeing that? Because I think that, um, and I wouldn't. Let me correct that. I think that people. I wouldn't say just men. I think people are seeing themselves as husbands and wives, and not all what that entails. They're not seeing themselves as leaders of households and heads of households, and they're seeing the power part of it, and um, not the work of it. So
Right,
therefore, much like you just stated, um, I myself, I feel like I am kingdom more so than any of it, because
right,
I stand on the principles of what my God says. I'm not perfect by a
right,
long shot. However, we do strive for perfection. So
right,
where we may look perfect to other people because we don't do this or we don't do that and we don't do this and we don't do that, we're far from perfect.
right,
Right.
You
right,
know, so but I think that we this society and um uh what we're in right now, they're so religious and spiritual that they're not focusing on the whole kingdom aspect. And you're right. I think both of you all gave great points. I think both of you all, um, your analogies for both spirituality and religion were very good. But I think if we're not standing on the principles of the Bible, because we can stand on religion and I can focus on long skirts and women, and it is
right.
HOs in long skirts. So
Touche.
I can't focus on religion because religion is going to have me looking at people's stuff and who people are on the outside, where
Mm-hmm.
God is steady trying to, in kingdom wise, is steady trying to cleanse them on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And when it's
And kingdom,
cleansed on the inside, then things on the outside is just going to fall off.
right,
Period. Yeah.
right.
That's true.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. You just going to say something else?
I just feel like when it comes down to spirituality and kingdom mindfulness, that you can be religious and spiritual and bust hell wide open and so caught up in some people build churches off of one scripture of the Bible and say, hey, and keep people in bondage for
Bondage.
years for keep the whole church of people in bondage from one scripture that may have piqued their interest at some time in your life, and then they lose members when they truly start having relationships with people, having relationships with God. Then they realize, dang, maybe we need to evolve from that, because in my early priesthood, I based my church off of this particular word of God, when that's not kingdom. That was just something that I thought I should have been doing when I started building this church. And then they lose members because that's just like cults. People get caught up on, they're so amped up on something that sounds good. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the ability to seek out God for yourself, you could be
Mm-hmm.
led to do anything.
That is
And
so
Yes.
if
true.
you're not spiritually led by God, then you can fall. It's easy for people to fall. I remember
Yeah.
telling a girl a long time ago, hey, keep your these people in this church, these people in this church. I said, hey, keep your eyes off these people and keep your eyes on God, because you will fall. Oh, I ain't gonna backslide. I ain't gonna, and baby,
keep
you done
saying,
left the church.
keep
You
saying
done
good
put
morning.
Jesus. You done put Jesus down and then had 5 babies after that. But you so kingdom minded. You got
Listen,
5 babies
girl,
and you ain't got no husband, but you so spiritual. You so deep. Yeah, where was your relationship, baby? I told you to keep your eyes up on them people. When I see her, I be like, hey, girl, hey.
I'm laughing because religion will have you just like that. Religion will have you watching with your eyes so much on people that you
Mm-hmm.
never, ever, ever are paying attention to what God is doing in your life.
Right.
When your eyes are on people, I remember telling one of my nieces who was getting married, and I said, she was like, Auntie, I'm just a little afraid. I'm just not sure. And I said, why? She says, because people marriages be ending. And I said, get your mind off of other people's marriages.
Right.
You gotta focus on literally what God is doing in your life. And
Right.
that's where we mess up.
Right.
Spiritual, religious, wherever it is, get your eyes off of other people's stuff.
Right.
Because I'm laughing when Red said, I'm sorry, Sharice said, backsliding. Y'all may hear me say that. That's a nickname. My bad. When I say backslide, because all I can think about is Michael Jackson doing the moonwalk, backsliding because that's what happened once you start judging people.
Right.
When you start judging people, one thing that I learned is once you start judging people, you start to face the same sins those people who you judged once faced. Now
Right.
you're wondering why you fighting what you didn't judge them for. God, I ain't like to do that. Why I'm fighting this? God, I ain't never go there. Why I'm fighting this? You're fighting that because you constantly judge these people. Now you got to fight the stuff that they fault.
Right.
Period. Yeah. And that's the part that people don't get when it comes down to life.
Yeah.
Because when you doing this thing called life, it's not
hard.
as simple, and there's no such thing
Yeah.
as I got it licked. I don't care
Right.
how someone's life. I'm talking about. I can look at the millionaire. I can look at the most religious person I know. I can look at the most successful people that I know, whether it is in their marriages, in their profession, whatever. There's no such thing as they got it licked.
Right.
Because I didn't see marriages that I thought would never fail. I didn't see people's businesses that I thought was prosperous fail. I have seen those religious figures that we know that we thought were so great and so awesome and they changed our lives fall. So life has presented itself to us enough to know that people fall.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. We fall. But as a body, as a Christian body, we should be able to pull those people up. We should
Yeah.
not judge so hard. We should not um, look at everything that they're doing, but more so what God tells you about these people. That's why the word tells us to pray for your enemies. If you can pray for people, I promise you, life gets so much more easier because you'll start seeing straight through them. You'll start seeing straight who they are. You'll start seeing exactly what they're doing. And life will get easier because you can redirect what you're feeling about them and just literally pray for them. Right?
Right.
All right. We went somewhere else. Thank you, God. I don't know what you're doing, but that's where He had us to go. So, our next video was actually about with our beloved Sarah Jakes Roberts. And Sarah Jakes Roberts was talking about being able to trust God when your life pivots. And all of us have been through some form of a pivot. Uh, a job you lost, people lose kids, a divorce, um, any change in your circumstances, you losing parents and grandparents, any change in your circumstances that you literally had to trust God because your life pivoted.
Mm.
So while I'm talking, I just want y'all to be thinking about your situation, whatever that may be, that you all want to share. You always know, I always say don't share too much. But think about the time where your life pivoted so much that it broke you in the inside, and that you didn't have nothing and nobody to trust but God. Because if you did not trust God, you don't know where your mental status would be.
Mm.
And this is the hard part, that this superficial world that we live in doesn't want to realize is it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
It happens to everybody. So Sharice, I'll let you go first because you
You
got this
should
smile
let
on your face because
listen,
you
you should
thinking in
let
the
Desiree go
background.
because you already know I can write a whole book about the whole thing. I'll use the analogy of, I was just telling this girl this other day. I said sometimes in our life, certain things that we grow to be was embedded in us at an early age. And I'll say that because I was talking about me as a person who loves to care for people and different aspects of caring for people. And I was telling her, I spent 20 years on a job and God was just waiting for me to trust him. And I said,
Oh, could you hold that thought right there for a second? I forgot to let people know we did have some guests that was going to be popping in on us. So I did have a guest that just popped up, but I'm going to let Sharice continue to talk while I add the guest to the stage. Go ahead.
so I remember that. I was telling the young lady, I said, I remember just getting so tired of where I was. And I said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to quit this job. Like I'm giving this too much of my energy. And I quit. And the next day I went to the second job that I had and I was offered a promotion in that job. And then I started getting overwhelmed with that job. And then I said, okay, God, I'm just tired because I don't feel like I could just make these people just happy enough. Like I'm just doing too much. And it began to be overwhelming for my body and everything. And I end up, see, because I know how to talk to God like he my people for real. Hey, all right, now you already know I ain't gonna take too much of this before something happens. Now you know how I'm moving. I do something crazy. So, and long story short, I got fired from that job, and in the process of me being fired, I said I watched how when he allowed it to happen, because people don't understand when God allows things to happen, he allows those things for us to prosper. That's what he says in his word, that he wants to prosper us, right? So I lost that job that I thought, okay, he gave me this job. He prepared me for something else. And I said, okay, so I lost this job. What you want me to do now? And I kind of got in my feelings a little bit for a little while. And then I said, okay, I got to get out of this funk and I got to move forward. I got kids to feed. I got to help my husband pay some of these bills in this house. So I end up being at the place that I am now, where I get to use my gift. So when he says your gift will make room for you, he really means your gift will make room for you. And so um we have to think it not strange that when he allows us to go through certain things, that it's for the better good for us. Because just because you
Amen.
decided that you're gonna do something, you better ask him if that's his plan, because he'll make everything fall apart. And then you want to get mad at him because he allowed it to fall apart. I didn't tell you to do that. You wanted to do that.
Yeah,
So
just like that. Just like that. All
hey
right, Miss
Donald.
Desiree. Hey,
Uh,
Hey, Auntie.
DJ. This is my nephew who I'm always talking about you all. And this is Desiree is his best friend. All right, go ahead, Miss Desiree.
um, that's the only thing I could really think of is when I was in college. Um, at one point I felt like I was losing everything. I got like in a really bad car wreck and like it kind of messed up like my knees and stuff. So I had to be like on a walker for a couple months, and my teachers at the time were just giving me such a hard time because I wasn't able to go as far as like transportation. I wasn't able to actually like physically get there. And so they were like, "Oh, we're gonna fail you. You just missed all your days for the semester." And I was just like, I would come if I could. But that ended up just turning into just a skate pass. And then I felt like I was finally, you feel like, okay, I'm finally getting back on my feet. My mom, God bless her, she ended up giving me her car so I could have transportation in college. And one night, I don't know, I guess I was just in a time where I just felt like I needed friends, even though I have friends, but they weren't there with me. And so it was one, I was just like, I just need people around me. I just need people around me. And one night I got in another car wreck. And those people that I thought were my friends, I was like, why didn't you guys come to my defense? Why didn't you guys come and like be with me? And they just all just went away. So it's just like, now am I losing car after car? I'm thinking that I have people in my circle that I obviously don't. And I just felt like, not that my family do it on purpose, but they kind of put me on a pedestal, like dads can do no wrong. And so I felt like I'm doing everything wrong. And so I think that was like the last, not the second to last semester right before I graduated. And like I just sat in my bed and I was like, God, why me? Like, why am I losing everything? Why do I feel so alone? And then not only that, my cousin and we were roommates, and that just turned very, very sour. So I was just like, not only am I getting it from the friend aspect, but I'm also getting it from the family aspect. I just don't know who to turn to. And like, it was a very hard and dark time for me because I just felt alone. And so I was just always asking, why me? Why me? Like, why am I going through this? Like, I'm always the go lucky person. I'm always the helper. Why me? And like Miss Cherie said, sometimes your pain or why you're going through it's not just your story to share, but it's also to help others who are going to be maybe going through something later on in life. And so when I finally got through it, I came back home and I started working at a high school, and a lot of kids were saying, Miss Moody, I lost this. Miss Moody, I lost that. Miss Moody, I'm going to college. So it's like my experience that I went through, it's just like I'm able to tell you guys what to look out for. I'm able to tell you guys how to get through those things. I'm able to tell you guys, I don't think you should go down that route because when it was me. So it's like during that time, I didn't understand why or what the Lord was preparing me for. But when I got through it and now that I'm in the position that I am now today, just to work with like kids or like kids that's just going to college in general, it's just like, oh wow, like now my pain then is like somebody else's like experience or gratitude. So
Right.
yeah, it's like I went through, but I'm kind of all right that I went through because I'm able to help somebody else before that could happen to
Absolutely.
them.
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I don't know if Donald's listening in, but we are talking about Sarah Jakes and her discussion. I think I sent you the video. We couldn't get it to play. We couldn't get the videos to play. But her discussion on how to pivot and trust God in those moments that you have to pivot, in those dark times, in those times when you have no choice but to trust God. And while you're thinking, I don't know if did you have something you want to share yet?
I think I got one thing to say
Okay. Okay.
Okay, go
off the top
ahead.
of my head. I think there was a period of time when I think I after high school I did my first year of college, well, my first semester at college. Um, I really didn't do well. I was slacking. I wasn't doing my work, and it just dawned on me like maybe I'm not ready for college yet. You know, and then after that, I decided like not to go and finish as of right now. Just go focus on myself and work and make money before I go back and actually stay focused. 'Cause I feel like I went in there head first, not understanding what comes with college and studying and actually having to stay home and not going to party every night or every event and things like that. So I think like maturity had to come to me first before going back to college.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. I think that it takes a very mature person to understand I'm not ready for that yet.
right.
Because most people, I remember when I was first going back to school in my older years, I had a classmate that him and I had a few classes together, and we actually work. I work with him now. It's crazy, but I remember telling him, I said, I don't think you're ready for college. And he was like, Erica, I want a degree like everyone else wants a degree. And I was like, yeah, but you're not prepared. You come to school, you don't have your pens, you don't have your book, you don't have your paper, like you're not prepared. So that tells me no matter how much you want something, you're not ready for it.
Right.
It's kind of like meeting this great person in life. They're wonderful. They have everything you want in life. They're the type of man that you want. He's loyal, she's beautiful, he has a relationship with God. He knows how to save money. He has all these great qualities. But guess what? Somebody not ready.
Right.
It's like you get all the way to the finish line and you can't cross because you're not ready. And it's okay to not be ready. What's not okay is keep pushing forward and messing up and not ready.
Yeah.
Not
That's
mess
not
it up. Sabotage.
sabotaging. Exactly. That's what's not okay. When you're
Right.
constantly sabotaging a situation when you're not ready for it.
Right.
So I would share my situation would be going through a divorce. I would say before I got married, I felt like I had this cushion of life. When I say that I have, I thought I had gone through some things before I got married. No. And I say going through a divorce showed me that. And I remember my mother telling me a divorce is the hardest thing that a woman can ever do because it's basically, in her mind, she could not fix what was going on in the marriage. So she said that's the biggest challenge of a woman's life. My mother always told me that. She says it's hard. She said she didn't say that it wasn't hard for men, but because she didn't see it from a man's perspective, she saw it from her perspective. So she told me that it was hard, and it was. It was. It was a challenge that I did not know I could win. And when I say I could win, I can go through the pain, the ups and the downs that a divorce takes you through. And if you've never been divorced, then you don't understand. It's not the same as a breakup in a relationship. It is not the same. A divorce is a ripping away of your soul from someone that you have tied your whole spiritual being to. It is not the same as a breakup. A breakup hurts. I'm not saying that it doesn't hurt, but a divorce, I have experienced both. And a divorce is not the same as a breakup in a relationship. However, on the other side of that, there was a blessing. And when I look back at the girl that came to the divorce versus the girl who went through the divorce, those were two different people. Because the one that went through it, she came out victorious. She came back stronger. She came out with 3 degrees. She came out with multiple businesses. She came out with so many different things that when I look at Erika pre-marriage, I understand what God was trying to do. He was trying to get some things into me that only pain would bring.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't understand that pain will bring so much greatness in your life, but
Yeah.
we try to avoid it. And we live, this is why this world is so put a pill on it, put a drug on it, put a high on it, whatever it is, that we don't have to feel the pain in life to the point that while we're so high, we so greedy, we so filled with lust, we're so filled with everything merely because we refuse to go through pain. But if you see a person that's successful and who is prosperous in their life and who love the Lord, I promise you they have gone through the pain. I promise you. But if you can go through the pain, and if you can see, if you can stop faking for the people, if you can stop being perfect Patty, if you can live your life so authentically, I got a new saying, I'm free to be me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am who God made. So
Mm-hmm.
I am going to be free to be me. And if I
Right.
cannot be free to be me, guess what? I'm not going to be your friend. I'm
Mm.
not going to be your girlfriend. I'm not going to be your wife.
Right.
Because Erika is going to be free to be Erika.
Right.
I'm going to be authentically me because that's my freedom. I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to be ugly. I'm not going to be nasty. I'm going to just be free.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand that because we live in a superficial world. So as long as I am being superficial and I'm okay with your junk and I'm okay with your mess and I'm okay with your foolishness, then I'm okay with being your friend. Well, guess what? I'm not that kind of friend. I'm also not that kind of auntie. DJ, DJ and Desiree will probably tell you I'm not that person. But as much as I can give it, I also can take it.
Right.
I can take it. So if you understand pain and understand that it's always a rainbow on the other side of it, and if you try your best to seek the Father and not medicate the pain, I mean, don't even medicate it by beating down the church doors. That is medication. Sometimes people think they're going to beat the church doors down to stop the pain. Guess what? You're not. Because when you leave the church, you're still facing the same pain. So now you have taken weed and put it to the side, and now you got church for your new drug. No. Relationship. You have to have a relationship with God. Period. Not a new drug, not a new high, but relationship. Okay? Anybody want to say anything?
Well, I think it's a cliche that says something like, it's painful, but it's necessary. And people don't understand that those things, anything that you can go through in your life, that you may feel like is damaging, that is hurtful, or you can't withstand the emotional attachment that comes with that pain, you have to know that it's painful, but it's necessary. And majority of the time, it is not even for you. It's for somebody else.
Mhm.
That's
It's
true.
always for somebody else. Just think about, there could be the simplest little thing. You could think about things always, people say, I just can't, I feel like I just can't win. I can't win. I can't win. What you doing with the win? Are you sharing the win? Are you, how are you applying the win, what you feel like is the win, to your life? Like, money keep going through my hands. Have you assigned your money to a place? Because if you don't assign your money gonna go everywhere. And then you don't have none, then you looking crazy. Oh, my account overdraft. Yeah, you got that little fix and that little high from spending all your money and not having anything for a rainy day. And then as soon as something happens, you lose your job or something, then you want to get mad at God because you didn't prepare yourself.
Mhm.
And then you want to be mad at everybody else. And what hurt people do? Hurt people hurt people. Then you go to sabotaging relationships with people because all these things is to build character in you. You cannot help anybody with piss poor character.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. I think that people miss the fact of um, who you are means so much to so many people, and there's not a color barrier. You know, we grew up in that color barrier thing. Like, you know, we talk to our black friends, and you know, it's about our black friends, but we grew up and we say we have a duty to do what God called us to do, regardless of we being raised in the racist South or not. God
Right,
called us to people,
right,
period.
right.
Period. Um, one of the things that I guess DJ was he had to leave us. But one of the things that I did also want to talk about is the video that we saw that the young lady was talking about her being a broken young young lady, and she was saying how she asked she was dating a guy, and the guy told her that he wanted to make the dating official, and she says, okay, well, wait a minute, let me tell you who I am first before we make this thing official. And she was like, I'm a broken little girl. I sometimes that broken little girl comes out in me. I need you to understand that right now she's in check. Like
Mm-hmm.
right now I'm strong, but
Right.
in a relationship, that broken little girl may come out of me. Are you still willing to sign up for this relationship? And he was like, sign me up. And
Mm.
what she said was she wouldn't have been offended if he said no, because in his mind, I don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to handle a broken little girl. Now, let's be honest. Most men want a simple relationship with no drama, no
Mm.
broken little girls, no little girls with daddy issues, and no real problems. Now, the ones who do want those who with daddy issues, 9 times out of 10, he has his own daddy issues. So now he want to
Mm-hmm.
use his daddy issue to control you with your daddy issues, right? So, however, most men are looking for women who don't have those characteristics and who are fighting though battles. They don't want those things, right? So they want simple. They want simplicity. They want, she's quiet. She doesn't, she lets me run it. She lets me control it. She lets me run her. She lets me do what I want to do. She doesn't ask me questions. She's not vocal. She's not, all of those things. Most men are looking for those, right? I remember telling one of my homeboys, "You're looking for a beautiful fool. I hope you find her."
Oh my
Find
goodness.
her. Yes, but that's what most men are looking for. However, a man who's healed, he's not
Mhm.
looking for that. A
Right.
man who's whole, he is not looking for that. He's okay with your opinion. He is
Mhm.
okay. He's also okay with you being broken when he knows that you're trying to fix those areas.
Mhm.
Yeah. He's okay with that. He's okay with seeing, dang, she's broken in this area. But you know what? I'm not. I'm not broken in the areas that she is. So I'm
Right.
okay with her being broken in those areas. So, how do you all feel about what she stated in all of her strength? Because it takes strength to tell someone that you're a broken little girl.
Um, well, I kind of resonated with it a little bit because as I get older, I deal with things differently now. But I resonate because sometimes I recognize that broken little girl in myself sometimes, and it's just like, a lot of people are blessed to get closure with their parents, whether it's mom or dad or whoever, and then there are some who aren't quite there yet. I should say, rather than like it'll never happen, but just not there yet.
Mhm.
And it's funny because I was actually talking to one of my guy friends. Well, we're talking, but we that was a conversation we brought up was childhood traumas. And I asked him, I said, "Well, do you have any?" And he was like, "No, that's been solidified with me. I sat down with my parent that I needed to, and that was handled." And he asked me, and I was like, no, not yet, I should say. And he's like, "Well, what's the problem?" And I was just like, that parent that parent has their own childhood traumas. And so I just, I was just honest, like, I handle it the best way I know how, and I'm, conscious of that. I'm knowledgeable of that. But sometimes it can be expressed in different situations. And sometimes I notice it, sometimes I don't, or whatever. And, he just encouraged me to just keep trying, just keep trying, keep praying about it. And hopefully one day we'll get that closure. So when I heard it, I was just like, oh, that's so crazy. I resonate with what she said, and being able to stand up and own it, saying like, hey, yes, I'm grown, but I still have these things going on as well. So if
Yeah.
this happens to come, this is why. And I
Yeah.
think this year I've gotten better with owning it, everything that I do. Like, yes, I did it, and don't judge me because I'm me. Like, so that's just my growth and
Awesome.
everything. Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, sister. Saying hello to Miss Shonda McBride. Mr. Simeon Dip says you go through it in order to grow through it.
That is
Okay.
true.
He also said preach. And then my cousin, Miss Sheila Rose, says we all broken a bit. It's how you deal with it that matters.
That is true.
Okay, I agree. Definitely. All right, Miss
I- I'm,
Sharice,
I'm I'm trying to testify without putting people in too much of my business.
go ahead.
Um, Coming from my unhealed place, um, I realized that there are conversations that when you have your true partner, um, there are conversations, because when I looked at her video, I said, oh, that's hard and that's deep, right? And I remember having a conversation with my husband, and I'm, still dealing with the grief of my mom. And I remember telling my husband, maybe last week or the week before, I said, I want to talk to you about, I want to apologize to you about me changing me. And when I say about what I mean is I decided to switch my focus. And I said, I switched my focus and I didn't tell you.
Mm.
So if I changed my focus without telling you, but because me changing my focus for the better good of my household, and I did not tell him. And I was requiring some things from him that I did not tell him. And so, in order for me to be able to build from that conversation, I realized that I needed to tell him, apologize first, so that the confusion that he may have had of why I'm having certain conversations with him, he understands that I've changed and I am evolving in different areas in my life. But he loves me enough to say, he's a man of few words. He said, all right, okay. But I keep saying the whole communication thing every time we have this podcast. If you cannot have freedom to be you, if you do not talk, and her having that conversation with her man and him saying, basically, baby, I'm on board because I want to be with you. Those are sacrificial things that sometimes people don't give their partner or their mate the opportunity before they spaz out, or what the kids say, crash out, before they crash out and give up. But anything that you really want and desire to have is worth working through and working for. So when she said that, I was like, I can name a couple of little things
Yeah.
that I could talk about that little girl on the inside of me, because I had to fight. Not only do we fight with those challenges, but we also, some of that trauma kills your self-esteem. So not only do you have to build up your self-esteem and your confidence through that little girl, because you still got to grow her up and build her up, right? So you need somebody that's going to be patient enough to withstand your growth. And sometimes the relationship doesn't work because that's not your person, because they're not willing to wait for you to continue on growing and
Yeah.
working past your issues.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think I would add be careful who you're telling you're still a broken little girl,
Right.
because I know men, they
A
will use
narcissist.
that against you every chance they can. Do you hear me? Every chance they get
Yeah.
into an argument with you, they
Yeah.
will be, oh, here coming that little broken little girl again. So I would just be careful and just really seek God to how much of that you give out and who you give it to,
Yeah.
because everybody does not have the capacity to maturely handle a broken little girl and a grown woman.
Right. Because
Everybody doesn't have the
a,
capacity.
a
Yes,
narcissist will use that against you, beat you up. That kills your self esteem a little bit
yes,
more,
yes,
because you can't withstand trying to get that little girl healed and trying to appease that person while they're using your trauma
yes.
against you to control you.
To control you. Yes. So just be careful. Even and broken little boys as well, the same thing. Like just be careful of how much of that you share with someone who is not healed. And let me tell you something. Unhealed people show they unhealed wounds early. Just
Yeah.
keep these eyes open and you will
Yeah.
see them.
Yeah.
It's up to you of how much of that you don't pay attention to, but I promise you, they show their unhealedness early. And once you do that, I think it'll help you along, because it's one thing to have something between just you and God, and it's another thing for you to have it between you and the world. Like
Yeah.
once you show it to the world, now you have to perform it to the world.
Right.
Um, and now you got to perform to the world that now I was this and now I can't be that anymore. So sometimes it's easier to keep things between you and God and allow God to tell you who you should share it with. Like allow God to say, okay, this person is who you need to share that broken little girl with. This person is who you need to share this with. Because sometimes we share um, too much too soon, and then we're not healed from things that we're sharing, and it can cause more pain to us. So
Right.
just be cognizant of that. So our last video, we got about just a little over a little less than 10 minutes. Our last video, I'm going to try and explain it more in depth as possible. So it was a video of a young lady who was sharing a picture of her and her husband. This young lady, dark skin, plus size young lady. Her husband, light skin, fair skin, light skinned guy, handsome guy. I mean, he was an average looking guy to me. He was an average looking guy to me, and she was expressing how people felt that why would he choose her? Now, I think I've mentioned this world superficial a couple times on this podcast tonight. And all right, Simeon, I'm gonna get to you in just a minute. Um, but I mentioned the word superficial on the podcast a couple times tonight. And because we live in such a superficial world, this young lady, which is so unfortunate, is now questioning her worth to her husband based on the world's perception of what they think the perfect relationship should look like. So she is taking on the concept of what people think that she should be. And it's so unfortunate that we live in this world that two people can't fall in love no matter how they look. If that's who they choose, that's who they choose. But because we live in this world, in this society, that beauty is vain, now she is questioning her worth with the man who chose her.
Mm.
So, what do you ladies think of that?
Mm. Well, I don't really care about what people think. Um,
Based
I
on
just
this
feel like
young
people.
lady's perception.
I feel. I feel like people spend too much energy worrying about the opinions of other people. I just told a young lady the other day, the thing I need you to do is to divorce yourself from the opinions of other people and their expectations of who you are and why you do what you do. Right? Because outside of what she has built with this man, it shouldn't be relevant to her what other people think about the fact that he chose her. I mean, I just hate that we live in that society that people care so much about what people think about them, you know, and their relationship, because I think that's what make people clam into shells and doubt themselves and get depressed, because they spend too much time worrying about the opinions of other people, when you should just be focused on living in your truth and in your moment.
Mhm.
What you say, Desiree?
Um, this society is very weird, as we would say, I guess. I don't. I've never really understood why it mattered, but to a wide range of those I guess in my generation, that's all they care about is what the person looks like, what the person have, what they wear, what they drive, and it's just like, how are you ever going to be happy, truly happy with yourself or your potential partner if you're constantly looking at the physical attributes or what they have or don't have? Truly, I don't really care either, because I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna do what I want to do. That's just me, though. I've always been like that.
Mhm.
But I noticed that that is a big issue in my generation. It's about, well, she not light skinned enough, or he don't have this, or he don't. Why does it matter? And for her to feel like that is very unfortunate, because he chose you. I mean, if he wanted someone else, he would be with someone else. So but it also comes with self-confidence and, self-esteem of just knowing that you're that girl and you are made for this person. That's who God ordained for you to be with. So, it also ties into just knowing that you just have to be comfortable in your own skin, I guess, and just knowing that every day you wake up, you recognize that beautiful person, you recognize that hardworking person. And I know, that's just something that I always do. Like, I always work on me before anybody else can even tell me about me. Oh, no, no, no. I get my nails done. I get my hair. I make sure I look good. Okay. So I think that also goes into it as well. But it's just very sad that this society is like that. And they always just, they always worry about the physical attributes. And it's just like, you guys are going to be so sad. Like, you guys are going to be so sad because you're worrying about her figure, her shape, or his size, or his height, and that's not what makes a person. It's about their character. It's about, their relationship with God and, where they want to be or where they're going in life, not about what they're wearing. But it takes a special kind of person to be on that level and understand that. And those who don't, they're on social media. They're looking at the Instagram people, but
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, um, always being a big girl, always being a plus size girl, um, but growing up in a household where I was told I was beautiful,
mm,
my level of confidence came very different for me. So I can say now I felt like I was confident in my 20s and my 30s, but this 49-year-old girl, she on a whole nother different level of confidence. Do you hear me? She is on a whole nother level of confidence. Do you hear me? I'm talking
Right.
about two piece, not one piece, two, not one. So I say that I watched a video of a girl and she probably was a size maybe about a 10 or so, and she was walking around with some short shorts on, but she had these tall boots on. But the while she was talking, she was saying, "Girl, show that cellulite. Girl, what you hiding that cellulite for? That man don't care nothing about that cellulite. Girl, show that cellulite." And that's what she was saying in the video. And of course, she had some cellulite she was showing on her legs, but she still looked really, really good. I think that we, especially us as women, sometimes we're focused so much on the wrong things we can't even live. I was
Right.
mm,
I was on vacation And there was a young lady that was standing next to me in the group, and I can't remember who said it. Somebody said, "Oh, look at her in that thong. She didn't need to wear that right there." So when I looked at it, I really didn't. I didn't see what they was talking about initially because she was bent over. But when she stood up, I realized that she had a flat butt, so I really couldn't tell that it was a thong initially, right? So when she stood up, I looked at her and I saw her body shape was different than a lot of people, and I said, "Man, y'all let that girl be great. She on vacation.
Right. Right.
Let that girl be great." Like, it's one of the things that I've learned in life is the majority of the people who are insecure about themselves, they project onto other people.
Right.
So when there's always a projection of how someone looks, look, she didn't gain all that weight. Look, she got that on. That is how people feel inside. Look, she's all. Listen, when I hear people say women are ugly, that just drives me crazy. Because I try my. If I called somebody ugly, it's because their spirits are ugly,
From the
not
inside.
from the inside. Not somebody's ugly on the outside.
Right.
So I
Right.
don't get into because that kind of thing starts to have you feeling insecure about yourself. So always remember the things that are coming out of your mouth. Because when you start speaking those things out of your mouth, now you have to deal with that. Now that stuff is projecting back on you. Now you're dealing with how fat you are. Now you're dealing with how ugly you are. Now you're dealing with all these things because you projected that onto other people. Just focus on you.
Right.
When I'm somewhere and I'm on vacation and I got my two-piece out and I'm looking thick as a snicker, do you hear me? If you don't want to look, turn your head.
Right.
That's how I feel. You don't want to see, turn your head. Turn your head. It ain't gonna bother me at all. Because guess what? What I told y'all in the beginning, I am free to be me.
Right.
Period. I'm free to be me. So if we get into when you start getting into the judgment of things, you have to realize that's a projection. And
Right.
once people start projecting onto you, onto other people, they're projecting that right back onto themselves. So now they're fighting with that. I remember telling a friend of mine, everybody who knows me, anybody who know me, know I love to consignment shop. Anybody who know me, I love it. And one of the things a friend of mine told me, he said, "You don't care who see you in the consignment shop." And I was like, don't nobody know what's in my bank account? So going into a consignment shop somehow correlates with the money you got. Not mine. And
Yeah.
I said, you know what? When you stop judging people, that's when you're going to be able to live free. And he said, what you mean? I said, because when you said that, what it told me is the people who you know that go into those stores, you're judging them as if they don't have enough. That's your judgment call. You'll know the people that I meet in them stores. I done met a lawyer. I done met a doctor. Listen, it's some retirees got so much money there. When we stop and we see each other, like, hey, girl, yeah. I'm talking about buku money.
Right.
One girl, she got a business here. Her husband got a whole nother attorney office in South Florida. She loved shopping in consignment shops.
Right.
Buku money. They own double homes here and there. However, when you judging people about how this and that and this and that, you're projecting. So just always remember, you're just projecting. So we got some comments here. We got Mr. Simeon Dimps. Mr. Simeon Dimps be full of words, girl. That's me and Sharice's classmate. He says, you never want to allow others to form a vulnerable perception of you when you're trying to establish yourself in a situation, whether it's work, social, or relationship. All ain't for everybody. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna think about that. The next one, he said, "You ladies did a good job pointing out that all you have saints and sinners." Okay, I think he was speaking into his phone. Predators and prey. I think in everything we do, we need to put our most confident persona out there in order to get a better read on people. Mostly laugh with you and be laughing at you. Okay, I would say yeah. And then we have Miss Patricia Jackson. She says, "Thanks, Miss Erika, for inviting me to your podcast. You always have an interesting subject. Thanks for supporting us women. Keep up the good work." Thank you, Miss Patricia. We have Miss Donna Smith. She said, "You better say it."
It
And then she said, "This society is too judgmental." You are
really
absolutely
is.
correct.
It
You are
really is.
absolutely correct. Do you all have some last minute words for the our Facebook family here? Anything you want to add?
Um, I would just say be free to be who you are, authentically in and out. Um, always keep God first. He is the ultimate everything. So always keep him first and just be yourselves. That's
Awesome.
my MO.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Miss Alicia. Thank you for watching. All right, Sharice.
Um, no, I guess would you want me to sum up this whole podcast in a nutshell? I just feel like for as much as people put energy into materialistic things and things that are going on in society, if you invest in yourself, investment starts with God. If you invest in yourself, your confidence will strengthen daily and you will be able to get everything that God has for you. And I
Mhm.
tell him I want all my stuff because
Almost
I
everything.
done been through enough hell to get
That's
all
right.
of my stuff.
Yep.
Before I close my eyes, I want all my stuff.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So
Yes. And yes.
be you, be great, uh, trust God, and just keep focus on what it is that He has called for you to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Terrace Road. That's my cousin from Williston, the big city of Williston. And again, Miss Alicia Gaither, she says, "Amen. I want everything. Me too, girl. I want
Mhm.
all my stuff." All of it. So I would say, once again, I would say, be free to be you.
Yes.
Ask God
Right.
who that is, because the reality to it is, because we live in such this superficial world, people are not free to be themselves. They're too busy trying to be like Shay Shay, and they trying to be like Ray Ray, and they trying to be like, the Joneses, and they trying to be like, whoever. They're too focused on that, and they still haven't asked God who they are.
Mhm.
Right.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Who
Who
did
do
you
you
create
say that
me
I
to be?
am? Right.
That's it. And sometimes, and it's hard when you have children and you have husbands and you have responsibility, and your mind is in 1,000 different places, and it's as if you don't have time to ask God, or stop and ask God, who am I? But if you don't, you're going to see this world keep passing you by, and you're going to get to the end of it and not know who you were.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I charge you, be free to be you, who God has called you to be you. Not who this world say, just be free and do whatever the heck you want to do.
No, there's a
Who
difference.
God has called you to be. Period. Be free to be you, but who God has called you to be. I don't care what that looks like to people. It may not look good to people. It didn't look good to the people when Jesus was healing people on the Sabbath. on the Sabbath, but he did it anyway.
Right.
So it may not even look good to religious people. Guess what? So what? If God told you to do it, then that's what you should be doing. God didn't call everybody to preach. He did not. Some of us he called to the marketplace. This is the marketplace. This
Right.
is us to be able to speak to people in a way that we can reach people that some people can't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody is not called to the pulpit, but everybody has one. Period. Whatever that may be. I don't care if it's Desiree on her cheerleading squad. I don't care if it's Sharice at her job. I don't care if it's Erika in Winn-Dixie. I don't care where it is. We're called to where we're called to. That's it.
Right.
So
Right.
I would say just be free to be you, as God who you are. If you are looking for scriptures, if you are looking for uh, ways to pray different, reach out to me. Just reach out to me. I am more than willing to help people in those areas. Sometimes people fight so much in those areas about how to talk to God, how to speak to God. They don't hear from God. I had somebody tell me, he don't talk to you, he don't talk to nobody else. No. That's not the God we serve.
Yeah.
He talked to a lot of people. So it's one of those things. It's just sometimes people are not saying the right words, and they go to God complaining and not speaking to a thing. So
Right.
just be able to learn how to speak to a thing and how to speak to that thing. But thank you guys for watching in. Please watch us on YouTube, Soulful Revelations by Erika on YouTube. Facebook only keeps this video for 30 days. YouTube, we have multiple videos on YouTube. So follow us, like us on YouTube. We have plenty more videos. Trust me, our videos not always this serious. Sometimes we joking and laughing and we straight clowning. But
Right.
we have fun. Sometimes our videos are very deep and very serious. So, but we have fun and we are informative. And what we want is to touch somebody so they can heal in some way. That's it. Thank you guys for following us. Have a good night.